Hello guys, welcome back to TFD. The WNBA is getting smacked around from all sides. Today, we're diving deep into a wild new rumor that could shake the entire women's basketball landscape. Will Caitlin Clark abandon the WNBA and go play in Saudi Arabia? Yeah, you heard that right. Saudi Arabia. Now, if that sounds crazy, let me explain. You've probably seen headlines about LeBron James and some talk of a Saudi Arabian basketball league for men. But what's been flying under the radar is that Saudi Arabia is reportedly launching a women's basketball league too. And it's not some half-baked project. According to reports, this thing is serious. LeBron's supposed involvement has died down, and now all the focus is shifting to building a massive women's league with the backing of that bottomless Saudi money. And that, my friends, is a brand new problem for the WNBA. Let's break it down. The reported Saudi Women's League would run from November through April. That means technically it wouldn't overlap with the WNBA season. But it would directly compete with Unrivaled, the new league that Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier are launching. So while it might not directly interfere with the WNBA schedule, it creates another big question. Who in their right mind wants to play basketball year-round with no break? These women already play overseas, come back for the WNBA season, and barely get time to rest their bodies. If you add this new Saudi league to the mix, you're talking about a grind that's almost equivalent to an NBA calendar, but without the same pay, comfort, or support systems. Here's the kicker, though. This new Saudi league is set to launch in November 2026. That's right, not this upcoming season, but the next. Meaning, WNBA players have roughly one more year before they'll face a monumental choice: stay in the US or chase generational wealth overseas. Now, this is where things get spicy. Rumors are swirling that the Saudi League has already begun talking to WNBA players, and some may have even signed preliminary agreements. That's right, players are reportedly already on board. At the same time, the WNBA is heading into a new collective bargaining negotiation, which has been a storm waiting to happen. Add to that the competition from Unrivaled, and now this new mega money Saudi project, and suddenly Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA front office are facing a perfect storm. Let's be real, the WNBA has been struggling for years to pay players what they deserve. The top WNBA salary right now barely scratches $250,000, and most players have to go overseas to supplement their income. But here comes a Saudi league that's rumored to offer players up to $50 million. Even if that number is exaggerated, let's scale it back. Say they offer $2, $5, or $10 million. That's life-changing money compared to the WNBA. If you're a player in your prime, you have to ask yourself, do I stay loyal to the WNBA and make a fraction of that? Or do I take this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, secure my financial future, and maybe never have to play another season again? Now, the question everyone's asking, will Caitlin Clark be one of those players? Because here's the truth, Caitlin Clark loves the WNBA. She grew up watching Maya Moore, idolizing Cheryl Miller, and dreaming about this league. She's been a massive supporter of women's basketball her entire life. Behind the scenes, in her rookie season, Caitlin was even pushing for players to get bonus checks because of all the extra revenue and sold-out arenas she brought in. She genuinely wanted her fellow players to benefit from her impact. But here's the problem. The WNBA hasn't exactly treated her like the gift she is. Let's not sugarcoat it. She's been the league's biggest draw since stepping on the court. Yet she's been targeted by players, dismissed by executives, and often disrespected by the media. Think about it. She's the one who filled arenas, boosted TV ratings to record highs, brought in new fans, and yet the WNBA didn't protect her when players were literally trying to injure her on the court. They didn't step in when her fans were unfairly accused of racism after that Indiana-Chicago game. They didn't publicly support her when she was mocked, pushed, and fouled relentlessly. Caitlin Clark has been a professional through it all. But eventually, she might look around and say, why am I doing all this for a league that doesn't even appreciate me? And that's when the idea of Saudi Arabia becomes more than just a rumor. It becomes leverage. It becomes power. Because, make no mistake, Caitlin Clark has leverage like no other player in WNBA history. She is the golden ticket. Every league wants her. The WNBA had the chance to make her the face of a new era, to build around her popularity, her story, her brand, and instead they let jealousy and politics get in the way. Now, with Saudi money entering the women's basketball scene, Caitlin Clark could take control of her destiny. She could go where she's appreciated, where she's protected, and where her value is recognized, not just in words, but in dollars. And honestly, if you're Caitlin Clark, do you stay loyal to a system that's shown you nothing but friction? Or do you go secure your legacy, your bag, and your peace of mind? The WNBA has years to fix its culture, to raise salaries, to market its stars correctly. But instead, it's been stuck in the same cycle: underpay, underappreciate, and underdeliver. And when that Saudi money hits the table, the league will only have itself to blame if its best players start walking out the door. At the end of the day, Caitlin Clark doesn't owe the WNBA her career. She owes herself her best future. And if that future happens to be in Saudi Arabia, then maybe that's what it takes to finally wake up women's basketball in America. This is definitely an interesting development. See, what's fascinating about this whole situation is that this new league isn't actually trying to conflict with the WNBA, at least not directly. The WNBA typically runs from early May to around October, while this new Saudi-backed women's league is planning to operate from November through April. So technically, there's no overlap. But here's where things get tricky. If you're a WNBA player and you're being offered huge money to play overseas during what should be your off-season, do you really want to turn that down? On the other hand, can you even handle playing basketball all year long with no break? That's a tough call. Playing nonstop, year after year, is a fast track to burnout or injury, no matter how much money is on the table. Now, if the offers are as big as what we're hearing, say around $3.5 million a year on a 2-year deal, some players might look at that and think, you know what, I can do that for 2 years, cash out with $7 million, and then focus on the WNBA after that. It's a short-term grind for a long-term gain. But you'd have to be extremely careful with your body. Recovery, training, travel, everything would have to be managed perfectly. And here's where it gets even more interesting. 2026. There's no WNBA season that year because of the league's collective bargaining timeline and the CBA opt-out discussions that are expected. So, that means players will have Unrivaled, the off-season league started by Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, and now potentially the Saudi Arabian Women's League, filling that gap. So imagine this: no WNBA, but 2 other high-paying leagues competing for talent and attention. That's going to put serious pressure on the WNBA's next round of negotiations. Players are finally getting options and leverage. And by the way, this Saudi Women's League, from what's being reported, will only have about 6 teams. So that means roster spots will be limited, but the money will be massive. The ripple effects? If this becomes real, the entire landscape of women's basketball could shift overnight. Let me double check here. Yeah, this looks like the one. Now, this thing isn't just big. It's big money we're talking about. I mean, serious funding behind it. We're talking Google money, Facebook money, and even Skype-level investors jumping in. And here's the kicker. One of the key figures driving this whole thing is actually a former Facebook executive, Burnett. So you already know, when that kind of tech money and corporate power start moving into women's basketball, they're not playing small ball. He said, quote, "is set to begin with the Women's Basketball League, in large part because of the immense growth and interest in the sport. It will feature 6 teams of 11 players each that play 7 2-week tournaments in cities across Asia, Europe, and the Americas, and is already 2 years in the making." Here they give an example. If the new league offers Angel Reese $50 million per year, it might require her to be exclusive to it and not play in the WNBA. Project B will employ 66 players, and if they increase salaries 10 times, which would be extremely low given the Saudi fund, how will players who make $150K in the WNBA turn down $1.5 million? Or in the case of someone like Paige Beckers, who will make under $100K her first 4 years in the league, how could she turn down $10 million? $20 million? What does this mean for Unrivaled? Will players really want to be in Asia for 6 months of the year?
Let's be real for a second. If you're making 7 figures for just one basketball season, are you really going back to the WNBA after that? That's the question everyone's asking. Because think about it. This new league isn't just offering money. It's offering life-changing money. And it's exclusive. They're talking about a 6-month season overseas, top facilities, first-class treatment, and a roster full of elite players, many straight from the WNBA. Now, look at how other sports work. This isn't new. In soccer, for example, most of the stars in the English Premier League aren't even from England. Players move around the world all the time for better contracts and competition. Lionel Messi went from Spain's La Liga to France's Ligue 1, and now he's in the MLS. That's what professional athletes do. They go where the opportunity and the money are. So why would women's basketball be any different? If you're a top-tier player like Caitlin Clark and someone offers you $10 million, maybe even $20 million to play 6 months in another country, you have to think about it. That's not unrivaled money. That's not $1 million for a side league. That's generational wealth type of money. It's not unheard of for athletes to spend half their year overseas. Baseball players, basketball players, soccer stars, they live out of suitcases for the love of the game and the paycheck that comes with it. So if you're Caitlin Clark or Aja Wilson and someone drops that kind of bag on the table, what do? This could reshape everything we know about women's basketball. Drop your thoughts below. And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more breakdowns like this one.